Good, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the TFC Season 1, the final episode. Absolutely, this is the final episode of the year, and I guess our Christmas episode. But more importantly than any of that is our wonderful two special guests tonight, and we have the wonderful CM Doomrooster.
What's up?
And of course, our number one lovable fan, aka GDR.
Hi, everyone.
Guys, thanks for coming on tonight. I really appreciate you. You are our special guest, and it's great to have you here on the final show of the year. So thanks for that. And I guess it's kind of weird to be doing a show like this sort of while the raid's still going on. I guess it's kind of normally we would have postponed our show for like an update, but being Christmas and all, it's the whole schedule's off.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Yeah. Okay, so guys, we are doing tonight. We don't have an update. We don't have really any big news to talk about other than the yearly review. We're going to go through like a month-to-month play-by of what's gone on in the game this year, all of the changes that have been made. Because believe you me, even when I sat down and looked at some of this, I was surprised to see just how much stuff has actually changed in BP. I mean, it's when you see the updates bit by bit, you almost don't take it in, and to actually see it all written down like that, it's a bit breathtaking, really. But before we even get into that, Mark's going to run away with the slides. But before we even get into that, I know GDR, you wanted to talk about some of the stuff that was done in the game. I guess. Did you come in as a developer into BP in April 2000? Sorry, not April, August 2015?
I joined the Battle Hearts team in June of 2015. So I just wanted to sort of talk about like the state of BP at that time before we go into 216. Yeah, so like when I joined, it was like Fusion Cruiser, handily the most OP ship in the game, along with the Anthropode, and just nuking everything in sight, and it just destroyed everything. And then, August we had the Borbus raid, and that was really exciting. But we had the Rhino. Not a lot of people really weren't sure about it at the time. I do remember that. And then, of course, September was Scourge, and we know how that went. And so, we had to make a lot of pivots. We, wanted to try to make it a better format, so we had to do the convoy stuff, and that was sort of the time too. And like I think October, we did the weapons rebalance where we had to, we kind of buffed all the weapons and lowered the weight and allowed for more diversity and option for the players. But we also had like Drat Carrier, things were getting kind of invalidated. Tiger Shark was in that time frame, Heavy Cruiser. So, it was sort of like very reactive and sort of like we're not keeping things consistent. And, build times were like 30 days, if you recall, at that time, like full builds. So, that was sort of like the end of year of like 2015. It was sort of like that was the state of BP, and we had just then began to start lowering some of the components and weapons build times, but really it was still like really up there, right? So that's where I guess the slides kind of start to come in, because like that was where we're at.
Mm-hmm. So you really, you sort of came into the game and you were unhappy at where it was, and you wanted to transform it and started slowly taking those steps as to what you feel the game. Not you, but to improve the game. I'm not sort of the way I said that kind of sounds like I'm pinning it all on you.
The team wanted to improve the game.
Yeah, of course.
Correct.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think what Raken's trying to get at is at the end of 2015, like he was saying, there's a lot of what we were doing was just really reactive. It was. There wasn't a lot of consistency. Things were becoming outdated or invalidated really, really quickly. And if you even just look at our events, the event was, it was a month, and then you get the new hull. The new hull would be really cool for a little while, and then it would be next month, and there'd be a new hull, and it would make the last hull completely useless. And there just wasn't a lot of there wasn't a lot of a tail. Yeah, that wasn't a lot. And because there wasn't a long form tail, it imbalanced the game in a lot of different ways. And one of the first things that happened come Q4 of last year, quarter 4 of last year, was that the entire team, not just the design team, but the production team, community team, all of us really took a look at the state of the game. It's when we started doing state of the games, and really addressing some of the bigger issues that we could see with Battle Pirates, both with the community and internally, and coming up with a better game plan. And it took us a couple months to get our feet underneath us. But if you look at the start of 2016, when all of this started, when all of this new change kind of came to the game, as like the starting point of the new Battle Pirates, I think that we'll see in the slides I think we'll see a lot of how that progress laid out over time. I mean, obviously we're still working and massaging it, but if you look where we were a year ago versus where we are a year later, I think the progress is really, really evident.
Well, you can see that there's direction now. I mean, like clear direction.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Well,
Great.
we can get into that.
It's much better than last year.
Yeah, we can definitely get into that, and I think February would be a good time to talk about that. So.
Cool.
Okay, then the man, the myth, the legend that is, of course, TSM. I do believe that, and also before even we hit the slides, obviously I want to give a special thanks to Andrew, who can't make it tonight due to work commitments, but Andrew really does do so much work for this show, whether it be the artwork you see, even just the overlays, or the artwork you see in the page, the videos. I mean, he does the entire website. I mean, the guy just works like relentlessly. I give him like what I thought was a week's worth of work the other day, and I wrote it down at 10 o'clock at night, and I woke up Saturday morning and it was done. He's the guy. I don't know how he does it. He's just a genius. So, Andrew, thank you for all your work you do for TFC, and of course, thank you for your part in the slides tonight. Okay, Mark, take it away.
Okay, you got me scared. Let me just share up first, mate.
So of course.
We'll share that. Okay. Okay, evening, everybody. So as you can see then, it's TFC's episode 43. So this is our 20th December edition, and we've already introduced a special guest, so I don't need to carry on with that. Good. Okay, so we're going to cover this final show for this coming year. Okay, so it's the slide pack content is actually the end of year report. So what we're going to do this time is actually review 2016 month by month. We're going to see, obviously, Raken there just took us up to sort of like the start, the January of 2016, when they got to the fourth quarter, and they went sort of like, hang on a minute, we're going into the new year, and what are we actually doing? I think a lot of people, particularly some of the older players and long-term players that are sub 1 million sort of like base IDs, really concerned, and a lot of people were like, well, it's either going to make or break itself, this game, and it needs to do something massively different. So fortunately, I think the design team changed, or something definitely changed without a doubt. Whether it was just a case of a stop, pause, what are we doing with this game? Because we all know that these type of games unfortunately head down a career path of overpower, and that seemed to hit a note, I think, with everybody, the players, the design team itself, and it was just a case of like, well, let's build the hull, let's build a turret, let's build the hull, let's build a turret. It was just playing ping pong from one side to the other. We've definitely had a different 2016 to 2015. So let's have a quick review and see where we're going. So here is January. So this doesn't start at the beginning of the story, but it starts at the beginning of the year. It's quite interesting. So some good points that have come out there. I think the key thing there, to be honest, I think was probably the best hull that has come out this year was the Punisher. And I think that's been a pretty stable hull throughout the year. I know it's probably caused your design team a bit of an angst in some areas. But for the players, it's been the go-to hull to help them. Whether they got stuck, they revert back to a Punisher.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no in terms of being a headache. I think it's again, we'll get to it in February, but it was mostly because we were at the point of like, here's the plan we want to go with for stability and making sure the game is good, and the Punisher sort of just flew in the face of all that, and we didn't expect it to. That was the funny part. We're like, oh yeah, I mean, it's a cool ballistic hull, it's like the next Crusader, right? And then it became like this monster tank that people figured out, like it not even in January, like I would say in February people started to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, it became like kind of a mainstay. We actually just started incorporating it more, and just making sure that we add value into the strategy that we wanted to employ for you guys. So we'll get into more later. But yeah, the Punisher also kind of was the derivative of how we came to making a generalist, and we can get to that, I guess, in December. But
yeah. I mean, it's a precursor almost to a generalist, isn't it? I mean, I think that's the agreed thing. And I don't know what you think, but did you start to design some concepts of the game around? I mean, I'm not sure, but some concepts of the games around the fact that hole was there, and that hole was actually, you didn't want to eradicate the hole within a month. It was the one for the first of the year. It had obviously assault and siege, which is perfect. Far better than obviously the holes were out at the time. And it was the do all, or it was the assistant to do all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we definitely started to incorporate it because, like, again, we didn't want to invalidate it. Like, we were at that point where we're not going to try to invalidate holes, But the other side of it was, how do we add value into other holes that we're going to be releasing now that the Punisher is this beast? But I think you saw that with like us incorporating it with like remote targeting with the Citadel as an example, right? We knew that was going to be a tank for it, so yeah.
Yes, Stu, you had something for January. What was it? You wanted to pick up on something, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just about to say, my favourite part of that month was when they added in Lieutenant and Commander, because I remember spending the next 6 months begging Rainer to make me Lieutenant. And I got it. It's awesome. And no, it's actually pretty good, like, for helping out the Alliance and that with shorts, like, because you get, like, a lot of joint requests, like, when you're with, like, bigger crews and such. I don't know if it happens in the other crews as well, I'm not sure. But, like, it really does help out, like, the leader and that, and moving people around in bonuses as well. Like, that's such an actual decent but small addition to the game at the same time. It's actually overlooked quite a lot. Can I ask where the idea for this came?
For an additional ranking?
No, for the additional, additional ranking during within the Alliance, yes.
Sure. I mean, like, at least from my understanding. So the thing is that we look at like traditional MMOs, right? And we're like, hey, there's a lot of levels that players can like set people to, and it really allows for people to like they need someone to like help offload things, like to basically from the Alliance leader and delegating like responsibilities, and we didn't really have like a great, like, we basically had like an on-off switch where it was like either you're the leader or like you're sort of not anybody really. And so adding in that intermediate step was really important for helping alliances manage each other better, basically. I mean, that was really all our goal was, as far as I'm aware.
Well, I can talk a little bit more about that as well. As I know that at the beginning of the year, we had actually looked at doing a pretty hard Alliance reboot because we found that, Battle Pirates it's a social game. People form alliances and they have friendships, that have nothing to do with the content that we're putting out. It's a lot of people just, like the show is a prime example of people getting together and talking about the game, having fun. Getting to know each other on a personal level, not just, in which ships that they own and how they can defeat an event. And we really wanted to capitalize on that and improve that system quite a bit, at least going into 2016. That was kind of the plan. Unfortunately, a lot of that stuff kind of fell by the wayside. We see it in bits and pieces, like with, the advent of megaships later on in the year. But like, I know for a fact that part of what we were doing with Alliance rankings and revitalizing that system was supposed to be in preparation for more Alliance features. I know that the team really wants to go back to that. I think that we had a couple of other demands that we needed to meet for the year that we accomplished. But I, for one, would really like to see more Alliance stuff moving forward. I think that it's, especially now that we have like factions and stuff. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to talk about all this stuff as we go on, but I think it'd be really interesting to see, more Alliance-based features coming up. And I know that one small thing that, it doesn't seem like a big deal was definitely part of that initial idea. So, we'll see what comes next.
Sometimes it's the very small things though that make such a big difference. We've seen a lot of that this year as well. It's just that even just very small tweaks really change the way you play the game and take a lot of stress off of the gameplay. So
cool. Yeah, I mean that's great feedback to hear. Like I think that in the drive to put out features, there's a tendency to kind of overlook the small features that make players happy, and we're trying to be a lot better about that. I mean, especially if you look at I was saying the end of 2015. There was a really concerted effort to find like small things that could get fixed or improvements that could be made to make the experience just a little bit better. Things that the community had been asking for a long, long time. So I'm glad that we could deliver on some of those, and hopefully we can continue to do that moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Right. Okay. So that's January. That's good. let's move forward to February then. So there's some good stuff that came out in February. In fact, there's a lot that came out in February. One thing was interesting there, and I like the little fact that R&D 16 to 30 came out. We know about that, so that was important, and it was the stage 2, obviously, of the R&D. There was a little bit of some interesting turrets started to sort of develop, I think, from February onwards, to be honest. The guard fleet concept changed. You couldn't just, rotating. We were having a nightmare, obviously, attacking base. People just running guards in and then just guarding a base, and then somebody died and guard a base, and then it was just going on and on forever and ever, which was pretty frustrating, to be honest. That's quite annoying. But what was good was the campaign. The choke point came in, and it wasn't the fact that the Deadeyes actually went up to obviously 6. It was the fact that the build tokens that came with them was quite, especially in the second run later in the year. It was the fact that we got lots of 7-day build tokens as well, and that managed to get everybody to catch up massively on some of those level 7 turrets as well, me included, to be honest. And I think one of the best hulls, and definitely mortars for the year, for weapon-wise, is obviously the Judgment Mortar and Merving on the Judgment Mortar, which was confusing to start with, I think, for most people. Didn't quite get it. I think it was an interesting month, and a lot went on in February, I have to say. For a short month, it was busy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Citadel was a game changer as well. It was a great hull. I built it straight away, used it for the next few rounds. I mean, it was brilliant. Yeah.
So I want to really go into this because so the Citadel and the targets for that raid cycle, which you guys now known as the Garrison targets and the FM targets, that was the first thing that we put out that was transitioning to like our new design plan to stabilize BP. Right, which is introducing a class system, having specialized hulls that do really well in particular targets, and having those drop onto the world map after the raid cycle is over. Like that whole plan, and that strategy was first implemented in February, and so this was like a big thing for us, and we were trying to make sure that we didn't screw it up and make sure that it was going to work, because without this, it would have been probably a different story with BP. So I just want to emphasize how critical this was in the success of this year, because it was the strategy that we held to for the entire duration of 2016, and it seems to work. So just wanted to point that out, how Citadel was part of that equation, and then of course roping in the Punisher to be the tank for them through the remote targeting, and really just one-upping kind of the next stage of the game. That was sort of where that was at for us at that time. So it was a really, really critical month for us.
You were kind of easing us in, like you kind of knew the plan, and you were just kind of transitioning us like the puppeteer.
We know the plan pretty far out, so yeah, we certainly want to make sure we guide players to a successful path in the game. So this was that very first critical step in doing so.
Yeah, I want to talk about the design plan just very briefly. It's really interesting to me, having been on this team for a little while now, how when the design team came up with a plan, it was something like 18 months long or 16 months long or something like that, and it was really interesting. All the designers got into a room, really tiny little room with no air conditioning. It looks like Raken might be sitting in one right now, and they fleshed out this really comprehensive plan about when things would come out, what the purpose of them were, the event targets to follow, the FM swapping, the world map target swapping afterwards, like this whole cadence from one month to the next. And to be perfectly honest, at the time of its inception, there was a lot of questions about whether or not it could even really get pulled off. There was a lot of, people wanted to move things around, and obviously, if there was a part of it that didn't really hold up very well, then we would have to iterate on it and make changes that could cause hugely drastic things to show up in the game that could have been really reactionary. And luckily, the entire team had faith in it and continued to execute on it. And I mean, we learned a lot of things along the way, but to be able to see a plan, come to fruition over time, especially when you've seen it just on a piece of paper in blocks of color that show when things are coming out, to me, it's really fascinating to see how the design team just really stepped up and delivered on this. So, big ups to those guys and Raken and everybody. So just from a fan's perspective, I know that I'm the community manager of the game, but I'm also a fan of the game. So it's really nice to see, see it all come together.
See, I think when the whole the introduction of the PvP PvE sort of changes started to come and this new idea of playing, I mean, for a lot of people it was like, I mean, I can see why maybe from your end you would think, hang on a minute, are they even going to accept this as an idea? Like, are they even going to take this on board without just packing up now and just saying, fuck this? Sorry, excuse my French, but, you know.
Well, that is basically what sort of happened to start with, because people were like, I don't get it.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and for those that, like, for me, it was like, it was kind of like taking a leap into the unknown. It was more like blind faith, because you're like, well, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to go with it, you know. And I think that's kind of where we got to with it. But anyway, sorry, go on.
Well, let's look forward to March and let's have a quick look. So there we go. So March basically, obviously. Hey, Liam, take the slide away. I'll let you go with this one.
Well, yeah. I mean, March was a big month, of course, for Kixeye mainly. No, it was the month that TFC was born. Was it the beginning or the end, or I'm not sure. It was
29th.
Middle. 29th.
We were created.
Created first year 29th.
We were born. The Forsaken Council was born with the idea of making the BP community a better place. Now,
yes,
you know, we're just players, just like anyone else. So achieving that is difficult. But I think to some extent we've helped. I mean, we try and put a positive vibe out there. We try and help where we can, and we try and keep the negativity and the. Quite often, what I've seen in the game, especially over the last couple of years, was a very negative hatred in a lot of pages. Like, people would just be horrible to each other for no reason, and that drove me insane. So I think, and I'm not saying that maybe even I myself had been a player that had gotten very negative at times, but I think TFC was born with the idea of improving the game, helping and working together with people and bringing together like-minded people that just enjoy this game, love this game that Kixeye make, and love, you know, working with the community. So
you should also say as well a thanks to everyone that's been a part of TFC, even past presenters that have been on it as well.
Definitely,
so thanks to everyone.
I mean, obviously, you know, TFC is not just one guy. It's every single member in that page. It's every single person that works on the show. I mean, I'm very, very lucky to have so many people on this panel here today that love doing what they do, because it wouldn't be here without it. So thanks to everyone, you know, thanks to the community, thanks to you, the admins, and even Kixeye. I mean, GD, you've you know, everyone, you've always been helpful with the show and been supportive, and yeah, I mean, everyone in the Kixeye office, it's been a great.
You need some tissues, Liam.
I
can see you getting emotional here, geez.
Yeah.
If he cries, I want to pay.
No, but you know, it's a dream of mine. This whole mission is just. It's a dream that's come true.
I mean, and from my perspective, you guys have done a great job of actually being helpful, like, with the community. And like, I've looked at your guys' page; it's crazy active. Everyone's trying to help each other, or asking questions, or whatever. And you guys are always there, answering their questions, helping them out. You know, and when you guys want to give us feedback, like, you're very constructive about that feedback, and very, you know, kind of level-headed about it. And I think that comes across well for us, because it's not like we have to filter through something and miss like a big beat that you want us to understand. It's like, no, this is very clear directive of, like, very well thought out, logical kind of response to something that you may or may not like. And so for us to have that is really important, because we can make better decisions around that kind of stuff. So having that being facilitated as part of your TFC community and the mantra that you guys have, I think is huge, and it's so helpful, and it creates a better relationship between, you know, us and our players. So that's just my end.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, as a community manager, I have lots of thoughts about this. And we've talked a little bit before the show aired, but as a community manager, one of my favorite things is when the community does something organically. Whether that's, you know, if it's on the forums and a thread will start up and a topic will be discussed, and you see people trying to help each other out or trying to figure something out, you know, and then whatever we can do from our side to help infuse that conversation or help foster that conversation is always great. But with the TFC show, ever since its inception, and I've been following the show for a while. I know this is my first time on. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. But I have watched the show pretty much religiously since it started. It's a really fun show. It's informative. I've come in and moderated the YouTube chat when I have time to, and I'm on that page. I'm on the Facebook page. I see everything that goes on there. I'm like the big brother of Battle Pirates, watching everything. Yeah, I mean, I see everything, and so like it's to me, it's one of my favorite things is to be able to kind of just see something organically build and be self-contained and self-regulatory, and I don't want to have to come in and dictate a conversation. Like it's great to see the community doing what it's doing, and yeah, I mean, like you said, for people to be constructive, even in their dislike of things, it makes it really easy to pass that information along in a much more direct way, rather than having to be like, look, I know that this all is in caps and says "F you, Kix, I hate your face." But if you take that away from there, there's actually a nugget of something that we should be listening to, because that just doesn't translate well. And so seeing the TFC page, seeing the show, and seeing how people respond to it gives us a lot of really direct feedback, which is from a CM point of view, it's a godsend. It's really great. So keep up the good work, guys.
Cool, excellent.
Woo! Many high fives.
I do want to add. I mean, one thing that we've seen this year, and I don't know when it actually started, but Kixeye, you guys have been much more receptive to the community than in the past, and I want people not to overlook that, because there's so much stuff that that we're going to cover, and there's so much stuff that's happened in the year, that there are some very important things that I don't want people to overlook. But that is one really, really big thing, is that in terms of being receptive to what the community says and has problems with, or issues or wants, has been a huge improvement than in the past.
Great, I love to hear that. Thank you, I appreciate that.
It's good. Okay, so March is excellent. Auto repairing dock, yeehaw, great thing as well. We like that. That was a definite win-win, without a doubt.
That was a win-win.
Yeah, it was. Everyone loved that one that came out. Good. So the baby born was born, and it was good. Okay, excellent. So that's March out of the way. April's when we got the information that came through about the good old half repair dock, the dock defense fleet. Basically, that was good. So we halved it, obviously, because everyone. That was part of the knock-on effect, and you think, Rake, unless you got it, I'm wrong, because obviously we were building massive fleets, weren't we, to obviously defend our bases and that sort of stuff, and the repair times were just getting crazy. They were getting absolutely bonkers. So to slice that time in half was an instant win-win, I think. Was that the main reason, to be honest, or was there something else involved behind the background that I didn't know about?
No, not really. I mean, it was like, we were looking at, I think, sort of what the next evolution of base defense was going to be, right? And I think because that's when I think Outpost 8 came out, somewhere around there. And we were like, look, repair times for guards. Like, guards are a huge investment by default, because you got to build the thing, right? And then if you get completely destroyed, it's like, wow, great. So like, I had this fleet, I had my base, got flattened, and now I get this sweet repair time on my fleet, right? So from my end, it was like, look, like, they're meant to guard a base. Look, it should repair faster so it can help guard a base, right? So that was really it. I mean, there was no other ulterior motive behind it. I mean, that was straight up what it was.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. So other good things came in April. Obviously, there's something that's not on here, and I think it's one of the funniest thing we've had in the year was the Golden Gunboat. That was the funniest event.
Okay. All right.
Someone whose conception, whose idea, and was that a payback for something that it made a difference? The morale in the game was amazing.
That was me. All right, so that's my fault. So, so literally, like, maybe, I don't know, day 3, I was like, "Hey guys, you know what we should do for April Fools? We should have like a gunboat tournament." And everyone was like, "Oh, haha, that'd be fun." And I think I just said it like every other week. Like every other week for the entire year up to April, I was like, we should do a gunboat tournament every single time.
I remember. So whenever someone comes up with a truly ridiculous idea, anytime during the year, there's always we should do that for April Fools. We should do that for April Fools. And Raken came in and literally, like, as soon as he started work, was like, "Oh, you know what we should do? We should do And I think like myself and one of the QA guys, like the lead QA guy, both were just like, "Oh, that's just absolutely brilliant. We should absolutely do that." And we kind of just, we kept on joking about it over and over. It kind of became like an office inside joke. It's like, oh, it's going to be called Gunboat. It's going to be an acronym for Grand Unified National Tournament of whatever it was, Attrition Battle. And it just like by the time we actually got around to like March, we were like, we could actually do this.
Conceptually it was fantastic, I have to say. And you know what a transformation in the morale on all the forums. Right across the board.
I was very pleased to be a part of that whole thing. It was writing up the copy for it was one of the funnest things that I've probably ever written for the game. It was so much fun.
I mean, as soon as I saw that blueprint, I went, "You've got to be kidding me! Look how many weapons slots."
Didn't you also release some mock release notes or a work in progress?
Oh yeah, I put out the famous April Fool works in progress, which people thought was serious.
No, that was
I was
great.
I was playing a lot of Division at the time. Not to plug another company's game, but I was playing a lot of Division at the time. And I specifically added some of their release notes into our release notes, and nobody knew the difference. it was a lot of fun.
Well, I don't know if that's something that should be proud of. But no.
I just thought it was hilarious. I just thought it was really funny. The hate mail I got for that works in progress was just like, oh, you guys.
I remember seeing people
Really?
actually put posts on Facebook linking it, saying, "Can you believe they're doing this?"
Yeah, I know. It was hilarious.
But I was like, no, I can't. I can't believe that because it's not real.
It's not true.
It was funny. April was a crazy month. I mean, not only did we have a good fun, but actually the Foundry commenced in April, which was, a huge transformation in the game and that sort of stuff. So taking things away from obviously retrofitting, that sort of stuff. But I think the big thing I put there in a big banner at the top, which I think we can talk about a little bit, I think we need to, is that the whole characteristics of the game changed from your end and not our end, where you took things server side and you got rid of 99.9% of those freaking hackers, which were killing the game and which were driving, I think, some of the power creep, because genuine people that were spending some money were getting really hacked off, and a lot of people just rage quit and went, "I'll just give up because no one's doing it about this. The company doesn't care." And actually, it takes a while, but I think you did care.
Well, I think it was probably the #1 complaint in the game for 4 years up until that point. It was the one thing you would just always hear about, So it was, and now I never hear about it.
There was nothing worse than a level 1 base coming and just rolling you with this monster fleet.
Yeah,
Nothing worse.
I mean, it was definitely like a team initiative. Like I know the tech guys were like, "Yo, we're gonna stop this. Like we're done. Like we're gonna go ahead and invest the time and do it." Because it's a huge time investment to do exactly that, especially on an old game like this. It's a pain. But they were like, "No, we're dedicated to doing this." The whole team was behind them, and they worked very meticulously to get it done. I mean, it was sort of a crazy show when it went out, but like, we got it taken care of, and now you guys see the results of that work, and it paid off. So
it's one of the harder things to sort of to visualize if you're not in the office, just the sheer level of manpower and resources and time it takes to really close those loops on our end. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. I will not lie. It was a lot of work, and I'm really happy that it worked out.
There he is.
Hey, Ren.
Ren.
Hey, everyone. Hello.
Hi,
Ren.
Ren. Better late than never, Ren.
No, it's good. He's been driving.
Yeah.
We just literally got to the stage when we're in April now of the 12-month review, and we're just talking about obviously most of the key points of the game going server side to get rid of the frickin' hackers, mate. So Doom's just having a quick once over on that a second.
We are running late. Well, we're not running, but we're 40 minutes in and only 4 months in, so we're going to try and get through some of the months quicker.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll stop yapping. You guys can just please.
No. I mean, we wish we could give each month that.
No, it's okay. It is. Well, we can, mate. It's only you has to go to bed because you have to work. I don't have to. I'm off. But yeah, so there we go. So that was when we got the information that came through, and we started then obviously changing things across to the obviously the different the skirmish, assault, siege, and et cetera, et cetera. So they were all sorted by class actually in our doc as well at that stage, which made things a little bit, I'm not saying fully common sense, but it made a little more common sense to people when they started going, oh yeah, so that's that. and that's of that and that sort of stuff. So it took a while though. I have to say, it did take.
Yeah,
a while.
it was just how we
But,
were internally referring to it, but so we were like, you know what, we're just gonna surface this so it makes it easier for people.
Okay, dokie, cool, excellent. Right, so let's jump on. So May was a little bit interesting. I think two things there. The birth of megaships is one definite thing. I know that Reiki is your little.
Sorry, I thought it was on mute.
Lucy's singing to herself in her bed. Yeah. Tier 5 came into the FM, which has obviously made a huge difference, which enabled, I think, some of the things that were missing to come back into the monthlies, so we could actually catch things up, which I think was a good addition. It wasn't necessarily welcomed by the community, but now I think it is, and I think it's needed, and I think it'd be terrible to go back and lose it. So it definitely makes a big difference, and things have come into the FM now that actually don't need to go into the end of month raid cycles, which works. Or you can enhance things. If it wasn't ready for the raid, you could drop it into tier 5 of the FM, which is good. And another really important hole for the year was the Apollo came out that month as well, which people went, oh look, it's just a little fuddy-duddy boat, it doesn't do anything, shall I bother with it, shall I not bother with it? And actually, what a game changer. Absolutely, once you started driving Apollos, you don't want to go back to anything else, without a doubt, because they are fun. So everyone said hello to the Apollo, and Liam said hello to the Switchblade.
Look, I knew you were going to go there tonight.
There is nothing wrong with the Switchblade.
Look,
I think it's consistent with Liam liking switcheroos and the like, so it's okay.
Look, yeah. I almost want to say that I took advice from Raken, but I don't know if that's false or true.
Okay. Don't know,
mate.
We'll just park it there. Just that Liam took a different direction to most other people. That's
sometimes different. Sometimes different is cool.
And in the long run, it's paid off.
He actually coined that feat like 3 times to try and get the right build as well. I feel bad for you.
It's okay. All you had to do is wait a few months, and then there'd be the right special. Just pop right there.
And it was good. That's obviously because the class that it was in, obviously the other holes there got a buff as well. So there was a stack of holes, including the Rhino as well, that's got a good buff, and the Cody's got a good buff as well. So there's a lot of people that are happy with that, because that brought up a lot of the lower and mid-level players up to a level where they actually could compete again.
Rhinos.
So that was quite good. So then we get into June. Forsaken mission targets changed. Okay, so and as the points as well, that scared the crap out of everybody. That big 350 million point target sort of thing to reach, and people were like, what's going on in life? What's this all about?
I remember that.
So numbers without context are meaningless. You need context, and like the biggest target was 100 million or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's okay.
It was okay, but what we didn't know was how hard the target was going to be. And when it came out, then everyone cried and went, the game's broken, the target's too hard, and that sort of stuff. And within a month, people were doing piece of cake, as we always do, because we was working out to solve the puzzle.
First weekend, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. That's
actually a good point, Mark. You have actually a really good point. I actually love the fact that a lot of these targets now are coming out, and they actually are a puzzle. Yeah. You actually can figure out this crap, and it's not just like hey, we're going to throw you in the middle of a ginormous battle between 2 other factions and you get killed.
Yeah. And the thing I like about it is it's a little bit. I mean, we'll zip forward quickly there to December. The 107. People looked at it and went, "Oh my god!" And actually now it's a puzzle. It's been unpicked and that sort of stuff, and it's reasonable. You make a mistake, it's my mistake. I'll pay the coinage for the mistake. Get that? Yeah. Right.
Can I quickly say something? Did Kixeye not slowly release those targets? Like, was that not the time they gave us a tester of what the new targets were going to be before they just kind of flung it at us?
Yeah, we were good. We were conscious of at least in this year we were conscious of trying to provide you guys kind of a look at what these targets are going to be and ease you guys into it and provide you more information about what these targets were going to be like. So that was a very conscious and concerted effort on our end to do that. There's some risks with doing that. Like if we release a target on live for like a preview kind of thing, like in a VX2 weekend, for example, if it's not well designed or it's not perfect or whatever, like people could receive it negatively instead of us being like, it's just a prototype, like not everyone gets that. It was very focused, but the goal of it was always to give you guys a heads up on what's going on. Yeah. So, that's sort of where it came from.
It was good, and it was a month obviously that the Vendetta came out, which is still and there you go, power creep slowed down because that hull is still really important at the moment. It's making a huge difference, and we know obviously the lead ship's just come out for it and has actually just transformed that hull and brought it back into vogue again. So it's definitely working. It's surprising what a little thing can do. So anyway, that's June. June was good. There's a few extra things coming on there. July. Another big, because lots going on. Here we go. I think for July, one of the most important things there, which is interesting, yes, we had the raid's the raid, and there was a good hull in the raid, and you chose between Forsaken and Legion. You took your choices. You went left of Arc, right of Arc, and you gained some bonuses and lost some things for that. Through a few people, but we sort of got used to it and that sort of stuff. We just thought it was all going to be pluses, and didn't realize there was going to be some negatives. But the Zoe Apollo tipped up, and everyone was like that. Oh, I don't need that. My Apollos are fine.
I built it with switchblades.
and then literally, obviously, the end of the raid cycle came the following month, and then we realized that why it was there, because the difference in that made to your raid fleet was phenomenal. It was, that was, and that was, I think, that was the first reality that one hull can change a whole fleet. I think that was the instant that it actually happened in that month. And obviously the Harlock Citadel as well. Wow, what a ship! When you think, oh, it's a glorified FF. Oh no, it's not.
No, that's a great piece of ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, mate.
I love my Harlock Citadel. It's great. Base defense, FM. Give me another one. I want another one.
Number 2 ship of the year, I'd say.
Give us a base defense variant. Like
that is it. That's fine. Leave it as it is. It's good.
Give us Zoe Citadel. Eh? Twist.
No, we just need a second Harlock. That's all.
It's fine as it is.
Don't mess up with it, Liam. Just a second.
Be grateful for what you got. Okay, so they go July, but yeah, 2 cracking holes and that sort of stuff. And a lot of people went, well, I'm not going to get that. I'm just going to get that. And actually, I did go through and I get both of them. And I built the Zoe first because I thought myself, raid's coming up. We're getting into the cycle. What's going on? So anyway, August. Okay, so August is interesting. So we had some mega ship stuff come out. Some Hyperion modules came out, and then obviously the Hyperion resources came out, which is quite interesting. There's a lot of new T5 content as well. And then obviously the Clash of Titans as well. So that was interesting. That was the first time that came through. And people were really confused. I don't know why, but it threw me a little bit. I hadn't actually built my own mega ship by then, but I know a few people had. I know what the hell's on in chat as well. He's all over that stuff now. He loves it to death. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I think, we've got some positives and negatives there. August. Okay, then the Hellwraith came out. Jesus, that thing was a beast and a half, wasn't it? We didn't realize how good it was going to be.
This was the month when this was the time when you guys had sort of learned from what happened with the Apollo and the raid previous, and you decided to give us the tool required before the raid actually started, wasn't it? This was like I think this was a big step in.
Yeah, absolutely. That was we learned a lot from the Apollo release, and it definitely changed the way that we put out new tech and tech that's going to be useful for the raids moving forward. And we're still kind of working that process to, get the best kind of value as well as the best, not over flooding the market with new tech right off the bat. Just so that the raids have a little bit more legs underneath them, longer legs underneath them. But yeah, I think that seeing the Apollo and how it worked and then moving, that's what we learned from that to the Hellwraith, really just has set us up for a lot of success moving forward. So I'm really excited about it.
My one comment would be, I think what you guys did with the Hellwraith, and I mean, having the whole combo, ship, weapon, special was perfect a month ahead. And now I'm honestly, as a player, confused as to why you guys didn't just repeat that in December. I mean, you gave us the Cannoneer, but no special, no weapon. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of like half a step back from a player perspective, because now it keeps us all guessing, right? I don't know. Just saying.
But you had the Malice without kind of anything to go with it as well. So you've had two ballistic.
No, but I'm saying just the parallel, between the Harlock for raid coming a month before, and now the Cannoneer comes a month before, but no special, no weapon. So it's in the meantime, of course I have with just for ranking, but what then? It's just I see refits coming. That's all.
I wish I could speak to it more. What I can say is that we're definitely trying something new. If it doesn't work, then we'll look at alternative options, including, you know, obviously doing what we did with the Hellwraith as one of those options. That's the best I can explain it without really going into it any further.
It's okay. Yeah.
There's a TLC up your sleeve. If needed, you will throw it at us.
Sure, of course, always. Yeah.
That's just random.
Of course.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yet not untrue.
So in August, then the only thing that was a bit unusual, it's another thing that's sitting in my dock, a bit like my Man of War, is the Saga's Punisher. I still can't work out what it is actually for. But hey, that's just me, I think, to be honest. So I built it because it looked cool. And you know, it's just sits in my dock looking cool because I can't actually pair it with anything that makes any sense in the game at the moment, personally.
But the Blunderbuss and the Mimicus system were good.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, Mimicus, really good ad. Yeah, I like that, and it helped a lot of people's, particularly ones with less slots on their subs and that sort of stuff. That was really good. So good. So that was August. Moving forward to September, then obviously we had a hiving came in, so that was the first time that's another stage on the megaship, voyage. That was quite interesting as well, and the Phantom Warfare. So everyone was starting to get obviously lead ships for their submarines. So everyone was chucking around all over the seas, hiding everything, which was great fun for a couple of months, wasn't it? So no one could see anything, and actually, you could build a lead CUDA to go with your Hellwraiths, and that sort of stuff, and off you went, and no one could see you. So that was great fun. And obviously then Fury came out that month as well in that raid, which was a stunning ship, and 5 of those was eating things for a little while. So but that didn't take too long to sort those out. But it wasn't overpowered. It was just something different, I think. That weapon that went with it threw a few people, I think. But it was good, and a good Q&A. Like I said, that was a mega whole Q&A session. Liam, you did that one, didn't you? To be honest.
The one-on-one with we and Raken had a bit of one-on-one time. The bromance continued, and it was an intimate show.
Oh my God!
There was some close moments. There was some holding hands.
I can see the memes already.
I'm sorry, Lucy.
It was a good show. It was a good show. It was a journey of discovery, and we found some things out. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, you did, because you didn't start one at that time.
Yeah, but that's how we
awkward turtle.
Just quickly flipping back one. I'm hoping
glad Lucy's an open person. She understands the men she has.
I mean, well, the style guide for the Hyperion was 50 Shades of Grey, so
Lucy,
so let's keep going. October, let's go.
Yeah,
next slide.
Okay, so October.
We should just say September was the raid that went wrong, and then I think October was the bounce back, right?
Yeah, absolute Stormrunner. Yeah, it was a good raid. Yeah. I enjoyed October's raid. It was excellent. I think the prizes were good and that sort of stuff, and it was nice to have a missile hold back in again. That was. And I think now we sort of then start to understand the Conqueror concept. That's when it first sort of really, really clicked with me. When I went, hang on a minute, we're not doing 5 ship builds anymore. We're doing 1 or 2 of these, maybe chucking 1 of these and that sort of stuff. Then Vendetta slide back in, that sort of stuff. Rets were a bit dead until that beast in the middle came up, And then I think everybody got it and they went, yeah, I need to start actually building multiple ships in a single fleet. And it made a huge difference. And then we started looking at that. Then that made you start thinking about your base as well. And then the game dynamic changed. It got a bit more technical because people going like that, oh, what do 5 of these mean? Well, you don't want 5 of those. And I still think some people are still in that mode at the moment. But definitely it's I think the penny dropped that month.
You can only take the horse to the water, right? Some people take longer to drink.
Yeah. I agree.
You're getting philosophical on us, friend.
That's definitely a Canadian side.
It is, but it's a fair point. It is a fair point. That's the stuff, So if you're doing, there's a few ships out there that could still, 5 Furies are quite decent. But Ren, even in your base clinic, you showed that basically 5 Furies can be stopped, and it proved the point that actually 5 of any one ship, even the Conqueror class, is not necessarily the wisest thing to do, and mixing them up and then using their abilities, to either get rid of the front line turrets or as in counter, put something on the outside so that it's drawing mortar fire while something else is slightly. It's far more interesting. It's put gameplay back into PvP, which I thought was fantastic because that's what I was missing. Personally, I know a lot of people were.
that was the thing for me too. When we started doing the Conqueror stuff, I'm like, look, 5-ship fleet back of base is super boring for like a whole bunch of reasons. So it's very much like, let's add sort of the quote unquote rock paper scissors back into BP, right? And let's be very deliberate about that and think about that and what does that mean. And we really like when we think about a PvP season, we don't think about it like one hole at a time. Like we think about the entire suite when they're released, and like in terms of like what order, and how that's going to influence sort of like the decision making for players. And so eventually when you get to kind of the whole set for that tier, it's like, oh wow, like all these tools in my toolbox, like I can switch things out and figure it out and crack this base and that base, but I can't beat this one. And now it's actually like an interesting decision, right? It's the thing I always preach, is like making sure there are interesting and meaningful decisions for both the attacker and defender.
So is it fair to expect now in 2017 with OP9 like a new cycle coming? I mean, should we expect a, let's say, a family of level 6 conquerors kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, there's definitely going to be roughly 6 or 7 conquerors. We're still debating about that, but 6 or 7 conquerors that will be part of like the tier 6 set.
Right. And probably some defenders to match, I would think.
Exactly.
Right.
And Outpost 9 is sort of the beginning of ushering in tier 6 base defense, right?
And pink skins for ships as well. Don't forget them.
Oh, there's a joke about that. Anyway, I'll tell you later. But yeah, no, there's a joke about that.
Okay, so good. So I think the only bad apple in the pie on October was obviously that ship. It won't change a thing, is what I put on that caption there. It did change quite a bit. And it still has changed quite a bit. So.
You know what, right? I coined that bad boy the day it come out, and it was amazing. And then I went away on holiday for a week, and then I come back, and it was shit. And I was like, what has happened? Well, I've been away. You know what I mean? Like, I spent 1,000 coins, and I come back, and anyway.
But now, to be honest, it's good again, because now we've realised that it's got to be slightly applied in a different way. So that's good. Anyway, so sliding forward, another good month. No, we've had some good ones. Okay, so yeah, the Malice is there, that sort of stuff. Some massive mega ship updates and that sort of stuff, which came along. Obviously, we got some drones, we got some helicopters on the mega ship, so I thought was great. Okay, that's good. Some good base defense came in, and obviously, we got the Tide Seekers, and the TLC came straight in, obviously with the lead Tide Seeker as well. Which thank God I got, because this raid's been easy. Well, I'm not saying easy, but it's been a little downside easier with it compared to not having it. Malevolence was good. That base cannon is amazing and that sort of stuff. I like that one as well. If you haven't got that in your base, then you ought to get one definitely. But a good month, November, TLC, I thought.
Yeah, I think the only note I want to say is, obviously we introduced the Tide Seeker to help out like a bunch of people. I think without going into too much detail, we learned a lot about sort of the distribution of our player base and where people are at. And I think we're going to be carrying that forward into 2017. That's like a big part of sort of how we're helping people. So I just wanted to point that out, because
I was just going to say that the Tide Seeker was a big step in that cycle, because it was kind of like, it was almost like Kixeye kind of said, well, hang on a minute, maybe not necessarily maybe we weren't right, but maybe we need to also provide another option.
I was just going to say there, Liam, you should never have a one-trick pony. And the problem is, a sub is a sub is a sub. It's a one-trick pony. You can either drive them or you can't drive them. And there's no forgiving in sub driving. No, but there's no forgiveness in sub driving. It's got to be pinpoint accurate.
I want to say the Tide Seeker was my idea, but I won't say that.
Well, then I would only. It's almost as if I'm hoping we're going to see 2 options at the beginning of next raid cycle, as opposed to the one option, and is that kind of what we're nodding towards?
Yeah, that's definitely the current thought process. Now, whether or not we hold to it, that's another thing. But like, I'm very confident at this point in time that is what we will be doing. So just like as a heads up,
catering to 2 different playing styles, basically.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. Awesome.
Super. Right. Excellent. So November, then we charge forward to December then. And here we are this month. And what have we got there? We've got... We got factions. The best, I have to say. Okay. The artwork has been amazing. I don't know anybody that said it hasn't been. So that little team there, I hope they get a little Christmas bonus, because they have done amazing. I have to say, what a transformation. And that's one of those visual things. Okay, it doesn't make my gameplay any better, but everybody has gone, wow, this is fresh. And it looks fresh for a game that's 5.5 years old, nearly 6 years old. It's fresh looking now again, which is
I have
Down with
lights
the
on my
kids.
walls. I have friggin' lights on my walls. It's epic.
It
It's like
is.
a Christmas tree in my base, but it happens all year round.
It's great, isn't it? I mean, yeah. So OP upgrade, that sort of stuff. Some conqueror holes for researchable conqueror holes now for the real low levels, which is take it or leave it sort of stuff. New dock level. There's so much going on, and for the first time we get a floating turret, which is really quite cool. I think, to be honest, I like it. I'm doing that one now.
I really want to get that one. That was the one thing I'm like, I want to do something crazy different off the wall, and I'm like, what if we could put turrets in the water? And I was, and I'm like, I was like, nah. And then like they thought about it, and like, okay, that's pretty cool. So
it'd be cool if we get windmills in the water too.
Yeah, you mean like the ones you see at sea, Lucy? Is that the ones you mean?
Yeah, the ones that we have up here in Scotland, the ones in the water.
So, guys, I have a question, if I may. I mean, we're talking about December. I don't know. Is there another slide about December, or can I ask a question?
No, that's it. That's it for December. That's the months.
Okay. So guys, I mean, Rooster, Ray, as I see, I mean, everyone understands the Cannoneer is like the go-to guy for next raid cycle, right? Can you talk a little bit about the Zealous? Because for me, it's a little bit like, what the heck am I going to do with that? It's cool and all, but what is it for?
Sure, yeah. So I alluded to this earlier when we were on the January slide. So the thing that we took away about the Punisher was just like having that one kind of steady ship that you could rely on over the course of the year. And I know like a bunch of people kept sort of refitting it, making it work, like, between like a FM style versus like the assault style targets, mines, like that was something we sort of were like, okay, like there's a thing here, right? So the Zealous is sort of a reflection of us learning about what a generalist means and what it does. We're, for what it's worth, we're not going to reclassify the Punisher into generalist. We're going to leave it there because that's where we classified it at the time. That's where it's going to stay. But moving forward, we are going to have a generalist class. Now, the thing about it is that a generalist will be great in the sense that you only need that like one hull, maybe two, like, and if there's another generalist, like those kinds of things, right? You only really need to build like that ship, right? You don't need to go get the super high-end specialized thing, but it's sort of for like someone who can't get to that point or just doesn't have the time to do it or is coming back into the game, like that kind of thing. You're going to take this, you're going to refit it or build it or whatever to do a thing that you want it to do, and then every time you want to change it, you just refit it, and you're just worrying about that so that you can kind of just go along in the game as you will, but you will never be as good as a specialist hull of the same strength, right? That's sort of the trade-off, right? And I mean that in all cases.
Yeah. So. Cool. And even then, I mean, looking at it, I have the impression, for instance, like it's not going to outperform the Cannoneer, but it should outperform like the Centurion, for instance, even in next raid cycle. That's my impression, because it's a tier higher, and it seems to beat the Centurion a lot of.
I would say definitely. Yeah, I mean, at a high level, I would say it sort of depends on your build, obviously, because the general is definitely more build focused. But the thing about it is that you need to. I would say, like, generally speaking, it's like at least on par, if like depending on the quality of the build, if not slightly better than the Centurion for sure.
Cool.
But the repair modifier is worse.
Yep.
Is it not?
Okay. Well, like, I mean, now that we've hit the December mark, guys, I know Raykin and Doom, I know you guys are got a tight schedule today. So is there any stuff you want to? Do you want me to give you guys the floor and maybe discuss where we are and even any insight into where you want to go?
Or maybe not.
Sorry. So basically 2017 is going to be building on what we've done now, right? And just sort of making sure that we continue to provide a really great experience and improving on the things that we need to improve on, and take the learnings that we've applied and continue to apply them forward. And I'm very excited about the PvP season for next year. So I'm super stoked about that. So I have to go, actually. I'm actually, like, someone's knocking at my door to like get the room, unfortunately. So I'll have to pass off to Doom for the remaining time. But thank you for having me on the show. It's been a great year. Hope it was fun for you guys as well. and I will talk to you all later.
Merry Christmas, Reagan.
Have a good Christmas, Reagan. The card's in the post, all right, buddy? So you'll get that.
All right, cool.
Take
Bye,
care.
bye, bye,
Take care,
bye.
mate. Take the
Get
Take
one.
care.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So,
Thanks.
does Doom have anything for us before he leaves too, or?
Yeah, I can talk very briefly.
Yay.
And most of what I'm going to talk about is going to be pretty high level stuff. Most importantly, I want to reiterate that I'm really grateful to be on the show. Thanks for having me on. I know this has been, you guys have been going, since, what did we say, March? And I haven't been on yet. So this is first for me, but I plan on being back again real soon. It's just been a real honor to be here. So, but that being said, I wanted to give everybody a heads up. We will have a quarterly State of the Game post going up, I believe, Thursday with the release, which will give a little bit more insight into some of the things that I'm going to very, very briefly brush by right now. Let's see what else. So there's been a lot of talk kind of back and forth about like what 2017 has in store for us. And some of it we've talked about a little bit, what with the ships moving forward and Tier 6 stuff. And continuing to iterate on the Conqueror hulls and their usefulness in PvP, and how we're going to handle people using PvP tech and PvE targets. So those are all things to keep an eye out for. Probably the big announcement that's kind of been talked about here and there. We haven't really done any sort of like official, yes, this is going to happen, but I guess now is as good as time as any. And you can, like I said, you can read up more about it coming up on Thursday, is that the event cycles are actually going to change. From currently we have a 4-month cycle, and we're going to be switching to a 3-month cycle for the events. So each event will be 3 months in a row: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, etc. And this does us a lot of different good, I think. It allows us to work the cadence of releasing tech a little bit better. So each cycle will still feature the specific targets for that particular class. So, skirmish targets, assault targets, garrison targets, siege targets, etc. With siege being the next one coming up. I've announced this on the forums a few times in various different places, but I want to make sure that everybody who watched the shows knows that next event will be siege targets. So if you have siege tech, you should be fine. Just keep that in mind. The other thing about switching to a 3-month-long cadence is that it allows us to rotate through those target types every calendar year, so all 4 within the calendar year. That way there's no bleed over from one target type to the other. And more importantly, it allows us to have another whole store, which right now the talk about doing another whole store is really about catering to a long-standing community want, which is that, in the hull stores, we tend to just bring back all the old hulls, but not a whole lot of the old components or turrets or anything else. And we were thinking about making the last one of the year, one of the hull stores during the year, more focused on that. Rather than doing just hulls, we would do a lot more like just older tech that people hadn't seen in a while. I know it's something that I hear a lot about in various different channels, and it's something that I want to definitely promote. I think the team's a little bit on the fence about wanting to do it, I think, but I'm going to try to push on them a little bit to get it to happen. I know it's a big ask. So that's kind of the big news, is that the events are going to switch to a 3-month cycle instead of a 4-month cycle. So that's kind of like an official word on that. Coming up, again, like I said, I mentioned a little bit about some class restrictions or class restricted targets, basically separating out PvE and PvP a little bit more clearly. I think that with the Conqueror classes, we've created a pretty balanced environment for both. If you want to be a PvE player, you can play PvE and do it just fine. If you want to do PvP, you can do PvP and do it just fine. And I think that we're going to try to focus on making that a little bit more clear. There's a whole rollout plan that's involved in that I'm not going to get into right now. You can check out the State of the Game when it comes out. But this also allows us to create a lot more PvP revitalization and allows us to move PvP forward a little bit stronger, which I'm really looking forward to. I think that the addition, for myself, the addition of Conqueror hulls was really, really cool. And seeing them be so effective and really changing the meta of that game has been really fun. And then kind of last but not least, and like I said, this is just high-level stuff. With the introduction of Outpost 9 and factions, I think that we had looked at factions as sort of a kind of fun little side thing. We didn't really put a lot of stock into the potential of it. We just saw it as like, oh, it's kind of cool. You can change base layout and make it look cool. And, that Scourge one looks freaking so rad. And then the feedback on factions has been incredibly positive. People have really liked the factions. People are discussing not just the look of the factions, which big shout out to our art team for really putting in the hours and making that stuff look so great. But also the functionality of some of the damage boosts and what can be done beyond just it changing the aesthetic of the game. So we're looking at a couple of different things that we might be doing with factions coming up, whether that's a campaign or whether it's faction wars or mega ships, somehow tying into them. Not quite sure at this point. I mean, we literally just dropped the factions last week before. So yeah, it's still a really fresh conversation, but I, for one, am really excited about it. And that's kind of where we are moving into 2017. I think that the game, as we talked about earlier, the game has really grown quite a bit in this last year. We've learned a lot from it, and all that comes from having a really dedicated design plan, which I had mentioned before. The fact that we were able to see a roadmap that actually spanned through a period of time rather than trying to constantly react to what we were putting out and react to the reactions to what we were putting out, the content that was being created, and kind of a throwing things at the wall and seeing if it sticks approach. Having a much more measured the cadence of what we were trying to accomplish and create an environment that the players can really get involved in has done nothing but gotten better as the year has gone by. So I'm really excited to see what 2017 has to bring as we close out the year.
Super, that's great. Ren, did you say you had a point, mate, you wanted to make quickly?
Yeah, I had two questions. First is short. Doom, can you tell us who's the next faction we're going to be fighting next cycle?
I could. But
so, damn it.
He could, but he won't.
So I have ideas on how I want to tease it out. I just have to talk to the team about whether or not they think those ideas are cool. So soon.
Drop some subtle hints. I like subtle hints. I like working out puzzles. It's good fun.
And the second question is, so on the one hand, I like having 3-month-long cycles because 4 months sometimes, it starts getting old and boring, hitting the same targets over and over.
Agreed.
On the other hand, there's a significant portion of the community that's not happy about content overload.
Sure.
Won't that increase content? How do you reconcile both things?
Well, part of that will be rectified through the use of generalist hulls, which is what we were talking about before with Zealous. The idea that a generalist hull will have slightly higher build time, but will have a much more diverse use. Whereas a specialist hull, say like the Hellwraith, for example, which are specifically designed to deal with a specific type of target. We plan on doing more generalist hulls, which will allow mid and low level players to still engage in raids and catch up with the tech that we've been putting out without having it feel like it's too much of a content overload. We're also going to be taking a really, really strong look at the Foundry system. The Foundry system originally was supposed to be a way for players to catch up, and it ended up being a little bit more convoluted and complicated than I think we wanted it to be. So I know that there's a big push to take a look at the Foundry again and see if we can, if not improve upon that system, at least make it simpler, making catch-up a lot more accessible.
Cool.
I have just one word. 2 words. Road Crews.
Yes.
Please.
I'm glad that you bring up Road Crews, because literally today a spec came across my desk about new Road Crews. I have not taken a look at it. I don't know what it has in store. I have no idea what it even says. It literally hit my email box about 2 hours ago. So you may get your wish. We'll see.
Okay.
Dude, one thing I was going to ask quickly then was, I was going to mention Road Crews as well, but it'd be nice if we could link Road Crews to the capability of factions as well and tie that all in.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Possible if we could just say that, you know, like okay, I've gone for the Scourge or that sort of stuff, and actually the road crew that I wanted, and if there's something that's a bonus to the Scourge, to those things, or there's something, I don't know, something like that. But makes factions really work for us.
Yeah, I like that idea. Like the bottom half of the crews, or today's maybe it could be favorite faction or
preferred faction. You have a faction crew that does something to that faction. So if you anyway, whatever. But if we can link those together, that would be amazing.
If you look at the old road crews, some of them, you know, are specific ship specific, which made, I don't know, like it's one of those things where I understand the concept for why that was done that way, but I don't think that it has a lot of longevity. You know, for one thing, those types of hulls either go out of style or they get power creeped out, or you know, any number of reasons to make that combination invalid. And then what you have is, you know, people trying to roll for crews that are super powerful across the board, rather than trying to get crews that help with the specific tasks that they're working on, which is what the idea behind road crews was to begin with. I love the idea of a faction-based road crew, for no other reason, not just mechanically, but like as a meta side of things. You know, I love the idea of equipping a Scourge captain to a Scourge ship. That just seems really cool.
Exactly, and if that was the secondary effect of that one there, so yeah, you can get, I don't know, 20% splash, but actually if it's gone to the Forsaken crew, it also gives a 5% X, and that would just really link it in nicely. And it'd be like top trumps. It'd be brilliant fun. It'd just be like, you know, add the right things you want. I mean, the way we roll them, that sort of stuff, that doesn't need to change. That mechanic can stay the same. But it'd just be nice then to save up all your faction ones, and then go, do you know what? I'm going to change the faction in 2 months, so I'm going to start rolling for other ones instead, and it would just make the game fresh all the time.
Well, it works out for if there's a specific type of faction hull that is, well, if a certain type of hull works best in a certain type of target, and we can tie that into factions as well, then it means that with the event cycles we can cater to that type of interaction, which I think is a really brilliant way of kind of looking at the meta, like the story of it. Because I mean, as much as Battle Pirates is you know, a game of numbers, it's also a game of story. Some of my favorite moments in Battle Pirates have been things like when you would team up with Harlock and Zoe to take on Borbus. Like that target was one of my favorite targets that we've done, because it kind of ties into the lore of the game, which, you know, up until very recently we have not done a whole lot with. I think that you can see it in the raid videos. The raid videos, you know, the quality of those have gotten better because we've tried to focus more on the story that's being told, rather than just like, you know, cool ship, go blow up target. And I think that you know, that does nothing but help the game in a number of different ways.
I think it adds a very good depth to the game. I mean, I actually wrote a small little story just for that, for the fun of it.
Cool, that's awesome.
It adds a fun little tweak to the game, because you have, you know, something to go with.
Yeah, for sure. I'm always fascinated. Like the fan creation page on the forums, occasionally you get stories, the fan stories that are fan fiction that are just so creative. You know, as a story guy myself, like it's, you know, as a writer by trade, it's always really fascinating to see the level of creativity that our community comes up with when they're passionate about the thing that they are playing. It's, man, as a CM, it's like, you know, it's just the bee's knees.
So very important question, Doom. I mean, for 4 years now or more, people have been saying that Battle Pirates is going to die next week. So I have a question for you. Is Battle Pirates going to die in the next 3 months? Yes or no?
You know, if it were up to me, it would die tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying that. No, I see the progress that we've made in the last year. I see nothing but progress moving forward. I don't see the game going anywhere anytime soon. You know, what it evolves to next might be something completely different than what it was 5 years ago. I mean, to this day, we still have people saying, I was around during the Blackwater days, and, you know, this game isn't anything like
Most of us, I think, on the panel were here. Actually.
Right. But I was going to say that's the thing, though, is that, like, I think that one thing that most people, whether it's this game or any other game, fail to really recognize is that if a game doesn't evolve, it becomes stale. It becomes shoots and ladders. And once it becomes shoots and ladders, you're going to stop playing it after a while, you know, and you know, we as a team don't have any interest in sunsetting this game. You know, we're still making content. We're still working hard. We still come to work every day with the kind of passion that we need to produce. So, you know, as far as I know, we're going strong and no signs of slowing down anytime soon.
Can I think,
I was going to say that, the game dynamics. The good thing is the interaction between the players and the community, the interaction between the players, the community, and the production team. It all wraps, and it all, at the moment, I think, is becoming one nice mold, the whole thing. I think it's working well.
BP now, compared to where we were this time last year, I mean, it's almost, you wouldn't even think you're in the same community or the same game. I mean, it's an absolute completely different place. And, you know, if you guys have managed to get there in 12 months, and it's very exciting to think where we could be next year.
Well, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm glad that is really great for me to hear. You know, I took over being the CM about two and a half years ago, and I've seen the community change and move and become other things and really evolve. And I think that, you know, part of that is us wanting to be more transparent with the community. Part of it is, you know, doing appearances like this, and a lot of it comes from you guys, like, you know, from seeing fans and friends, you know, come together and build on a community that is passionate about the thing that they're playing and passionate about what they're doing. It gives us a lot of incentive to maintain those relationships and you know, and keep putting out a good product that you guys are going to have fun with. So, you know, again, thank you so much for playing this game and allowing us to be a part of it, and vice versa.
Yeah, no,
cool. Two little areas of the game that I think need developing, if you wouldn't mind. One is obviously, which everyone, there's a bit of a chat actually going back. Let me just scroll back up in that. We've had some questions that have come in basically. Is anything going to happen with Forsaken Arena? Is that something that's going to be looked at?
Oh, I don't know. I wish I
know there's been other areas that have been really, I mean, I know the mega hole things have been there and that sort of stuff. And I know definitely that obviously, you know, and it's great that we've got I mean, it seems so small, but it isn't. It's massive, and I think, you know, just a bit of artwork can make a whole difference. So, you know, it's a bit like saying, I'm not changing my house, but at least if I spruce up a little bit, I'm quite happy to stay on where I am for a while, and that's exactly where we are now.
Yeah, when it comes to the arena, it's tough for me to make any sort of comment on it because the arena has changed so much from its initial inception, from what it was supposed to be to what it ended up being, to being kind of a mini event. Where new content was associated to being, you know, I think I think we talked about it a little earlier in April about how to me, the best time that the arena and the tournament, the FAT comes with the April Fool's FAT. I mean, it was the most, it was the most fun. And I mean, yeah, there's the whole talk about whether or not it was, whether or not it was enjoyable because it was free or not. But I don't think that that's necessarily the point. I think that it was engaging. And if it was engaging, that's what we should be doing a lot more of. And I mean, I don't know. It's, as far as I know, there's no plans to touch the Forsaken Arena or the tournament anytime soon. That could change literally tomorrow. I don't know. I would like to see the FAT return in a much more player friendly way, but you know, I don't make those calls, so it's hard for me to say one way or the other.
Okay, and the other thing we were just going to say is what plans have we got to do then with obviously medals and that sort of stuff and those sort of things, alliance points, those sort of things, particularly the medals. There was talk 6 months ago about it, but about either scrapping it altogether or doing something different. They didn't quite come into the fruition that maybe they were going to, that sort of stuff. You know, any thoughts on doing anything with that at all?
None that I know of. I mean, again, that's one of those conversations that's been going on for the better part of a couple of years now about, you know, how do we handle medals and how do we handle alliance points? Do we make them another currency? You know, what purpose do they actually serve other than bragging rights at this point? You know, I mean, there is none really.
Well, bragging rights are good sometimes. There's some people like that. You know, bragging rights are good.
I mean, and in no way am I trying to devalue that. I mean, but I think that as far as like in-game usefulness, medals don't really do much. But we don't want to necessarily break the combat system because the combat system does work. So I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I remember I've heard so many different variations on what we want to do with medals, whether that's turn them into the way that you can get tokens, or create a store for medals, or whatever, to literally changing them so that they're a different kind of currency altogether, kind of like uranium. There's been a ton of different ideas floated around about medals, but nothing has really stuck, and nothing has really stuck around. So as far as, I mean, I know that there's a really popular thought that we should just get rid of them altogether, which, that's an option too. But yeah, as far as right now, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with medals. I really hope that we come up with something really soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I know. Sorry, I was just.
No, I was just going to say, I got to get going, guys, but thanks for having me on.
I was just going to say, I know you've been pushed for time, and I appreciate you hanging on to answer some extra questions, mate. You've been great, and thanks again for coming on our final show of the year. I really appreciate it.
Have a good Christmas and Happy New Year, dude.
Thanks, Doom.
Yeah,
Merry
not a problem.
Christmas,
Happy to be here.
Hello, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas, you know where to send our presents, don't you?
I have all of your IDs and addresses. Yes, I know where you live.
Okay, 6,000 gold, yeah, that's what we agreed on. Right?
I thought you wanted fragments, Stu. That you were getting.
And 120 gantry fragments.
Anyway, all the very best.
All right.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks, Doom.
Bye, Doom.
Right, Liam. So what we're going to do, finish off. If I'm still on share, I'm not on my screen share. Still.
Yeah, I was just going to say to the viewers, like, although Kixeye were on a tight schedule, they've had to drop out. We do still have some slides to go. We're not fully finished yet, so it's been a long show.
Are we on share screen? Are we?
I am sharing the myth, the man.
Okay, so just for a bit of fun, then obviously we started at the start of the December with a new banner. So we bought a Christmas banner, and there was a Santa Claus there. So I don't know if you noticed it actually, but Andrew managed to craft Liam's head into Santa's suit there. So
no one noticed.
So Liam was playing Santa for the whole month, and I actually made a comment. And I was like, that, because we made up a pre sort of a banner, and we went, oh, what do you reckon? I went, how about we just pop Liam's head inside there, and then Andrew again decided to craft that in. And so we thought, what if anybody's going to say anything? And no one did,
Well, I was going to say something, but you guys would have claimed cheat.
Yeah, well, that would have been a cheat, wouldn't it? To be honest.
And you know what? It just goes to show that without the goo on show, I'm half the man.
You just look like everybody else, you mean?
Just a regular Santa.
Okay, and there's just one more slide. That's all we got them, and that's basically. Oops, there we go. So as I say, season 1 basically is ending today. So that's it. We'll be back again on the 3rd of January for season 2. So, however, we will all be on and off moderating, obviously, the Facebook because we can't help ourselves because we're addicted. Okay, so we'll be modding the Facebook page, that stuff. I know it's almost like an hourly sort of thing for Ren. He loves it and that sort of stuff. He's and George will be doing some on our little chat forum area as well, because he likes doing it as well. He likes long conversations, that sort of stuff. So
here we go.
If you want to go into
basically, the message to take away from today is tag Ren in absolutely everything over Christmas. Okay, guys.
Tag Ren in everything.
Any problems? PM Ren Ren loves PMs.
Tag Ren just the once, apparently. Yeah.
And anything that's Mega Hole related, go straight to George. And George,
no, Stu, I thought we agreed you were taking over for a little bit. You needed to learn.
Fuck.
Anyway, so we'll just click on this little video there because Andrew's on a little.
Any question about Matthew, go to Brian.
This video is awesome. Andrew just was awesome. You guys got to come see this.
No sound?
No sound. I got no sound.
Oh man.
We'll post it up on the page too.
Stick on the page. I've got sound here, but it's not kicking it out for you guys anyway.
I want to watch it to the end. Wait.
Poor guy.
Oh.
That's how Stu feels.
All the time.
Yep.
That's why he's such a mean prick.
And there comes the corner to blow everybody away. Right.
Well, listen, guys. Yeah, I mean, that video is going to be posted on the YouTube channel and on our page. Yeah, and I mean, as Mark was saying there, it's the last episode. It's the last episode of season 1 of the Forsaken Council, and it's great to be sat here at the end of season 1. And next year we're going into season 2. So we're going to try and continue what we do. We're going to try and be better, be more informative, be more helpful, and just overall improve on what's already been working. So a huge thank you to everyone that gets involved in the community, that comes out and watches the shows. A huge thank you to Mark, to Ren, to Stu, George, Lucy, Brian, of course, Andrew, who can't be here tonight. You know, Andrew, the behind the scenes pretty much does fucking everything. I mean, the guy is insane. So yeah, I mean, all of that just makes this so great. And yeah, it's been a great season. We need some rest. We're going to take some bloody rest. We're going to get drunk, and we will see you guys for kicking off season 2, the first Tuesday of January, which I believe is the
3rd.
Third.
Yeah, the 3rd. That's what I mean, the 3rd. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, and I like to just thank Liam and everyone for giving me a chance here in 2016. I mean, it was good being a part of TFC. It was an honor. Going forward, Liam's going to get some new blood in the show, so for me, it was a good experience. I'll stick around on the Facebook page, but I mean, it was good being a part of this team, and I'll miss you guys. Thank you.
What? What are you saying? You're not going anywhere. Fuck that. What are you on about?
No, it's just, you know, like I'm just taking on some other commitments, and but it was great. I'm really gonna miss you guys.
Right.
No way. You're winding us up. Is that your exit? Are you honestly exiting?
fucking serious?
Fucking winding us up.
Oh,
fuck off.
Have a good Christmas.
Yeah, have a good.
I would like to
Listen,
take this moment, though, to
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
I was just about to say, I would like to take this moment quickly to say that next year that we are actually hoping to bring a lot more content to the TFC channel as well. So be on the lookout for that. Not just the live shows, but there'll be some other bits and pieces as well that'll be very informative.
Yeah. The growth and expanding. We're going to try and focus on putting more videos onto the TFC YouTube as well, like tutorials and like she's saying. You know, as much as we can, we're going to bring all that information at one place to try and. If someone wants to figure something out, 9 times out of 10 it's on the page in one shape or form. I mean, Ren has some great videos, and Mark, you do some great streams of videos. George does the Cove now, so he does a blog. And we bring all this information together. So I'm looking to try and, like, maybe I'll pin some kind of post that has everything linked into it. So whenever someone needs something, just bang, it's there, you know? And that's really the goal of it. So
I would also like to say as well, thank you to all the guys on TFC for actually having me, because I am technically the new guy, like not George, even though I say George is the new guy because I don't like him and he's a dickhead, but moving on. Thank you everyone for having me on the TFC.
Yeah. Well, you know, don't get me wrong. I mean, you are a burden, but
anyway,
I see how it is, right?
So, Merry Christmas, everyone. No more rambling. Have a great Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And we will see you for season 2.
Take care, Ren.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, guys.
Take care, Ren. I can't
Happy
believe
New Year, guys.